Orb presents Dr. Quymn, Medicine Woman.
This is Gary Butterfield.
This is Cole Ross.
This is the worst episode of season 3.
Welcome to the jungle, baby. You're gonna die.
Actually, Rosalie sounds so bratty. Yeah, we're talking about this one. Buckle up. We're going to say Quymn.
Yeah. This is slang word for vulva is what I believe that is. Yeah.
It's British for pussy.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That because it's the name of a character.
Yes. Yeah. The name here and the character is playing Dr. Quymn, Medicine Woman, old television show. Yeah. So we're gonna get through this. The thing that I will say is there is at least one really good joke and sequence in this that I really enjoy, and also Public and Hammer they admit this is not their best work.
Yeah, there are circumstances around this.
Yes.
That kind of explain it. And to me, it's like there are arguments that this episode is offensive. There are things that's definitely offensive about. Mm-hmm. Having now watched it, twice in the last month and then once with the commentary, mm-hmm. I just think it's pretty boring.
Yeah.
And like pretty annoying. There's parts of this where it's this long, soggy middle of shtick. Yeah. That I just think is just a little obnoxious.
Yeah. You got some,
nobody's going to bat for it.
You got some three's company romantic misunderstandings. Yeah.
Ugh. Oh, what are we doing? Like this doesn't feel Venture Brothers-y.
Yeah. It's also kind of an outdated version of the idea of the Venture Brothers. Like it kind of feels like if you fed like a couple of episodes, the worst of season 1 into an AI, this might be what comes out, because like they were following this instinct to have them be adventurers. Like Jackson Public was like, oh, I still wanted to do my jungle episode, and it's like no, you have them come back from the jungle.
Yeah. It's very intentionally what it is, and then was also written on a time budget.
Yeah.
So this is written by Jackson Public in under duress. Originally aired July 6th, 2008. Time crunch.
Yeah.
And this is them specifically like, hey, let's go back to core.
Yes.
The kids are boy adventures. At the start is a Johnny Quest thing. Mm-hmm. We should do some of that.
Yeah. Yeah, so the Ventures are out doing some villain shit in the jungle, and they run into an old friend from Rusty's past, Dr. Tara Quymn, who also grew up to be a scientist. Yeah,
the gender flipped version of the whole family.
Yes,
is the idea here. Mm-hmm. The commentary, they talk about this isn't their best work, but they mostly just talk about how the characters look because they get really hung up on that.
Yes.
In a way that I don't. They say that the characters they had look like G.I. Joe characters, with fine. I don't see it, but I also doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Again, doing their jungle episode, and then it also tries to accomplish some other stuff.
Yeah.
They wanted to throw in another a black herring, a red herring.
Just a little bit twisted.
A red herring about who the boy's mother was, even though that was in an earlier draft and they bomb it. Mm-hmm. They get rid of it in this.
Through
a line, but an early draft that was part of the point, and then part of the point was just to kind of throw Rusty a bone. Have him have a love interest from his past, have him soften up.
Yeah. There were earlier versions of the script where it drew more attention to this, but the idea that like Rusty, a romantically fulfilled Rusty, ends up being nicer, softer on the kids and just like generally better before everything kind of comes crashing down around him. This just kind of like rushes through that in order to do other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They replace it with nothing. Mm-hmm. There's like going to be a whole part of this character advancement. They replace it with a montage of just like characters hanging out.
Yeah.
It's really weird. There's a lot of meta stuff in this as well.
Yeah.
The idea here was, they know that the fans love Dean and they don't like Hank. So they created the two twins, the female Hanks and Deans, to just be really into Dean.
Yeah.
You know, and not like Hank. And then they end up having them attempt to rape Dean.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
So there's the, like a churlish, like, you want this, here you go.
Yeah.
Element to it that I don't necessarily respect. And the sexual skeeviness that permeates this entire episode is gross and off model to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I don't care for it. I don't care for the way Ginny is presented.
Yeah. That's there's like some fun bits with that. Like, this is when I'm looking for joy in this, it's like all performance stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it like the line deliveries from the boys and Brock. Some of them are fun and good.
Yeah.
And Brock reacting to Ginny is pretty funny.
Not knowing what to make of her.
Ginny's not treated real well.
No,
you know,
no. It's you know, and there's also like just like coding, like what is her relationship with Tara?
Yeah, she's explicitly a frustrated lesbian.
Yeah.
Like, you know, or bi at the very least. And then the idea that like the male version of that is Brock Sampson, who is a fucking god in this universe. And then the female version of it is a joke.
Right.
You know, it's this frustrated like Minnesota lesbian whose body is a comical thing to laugh at. You know, her desiring sex or sexual agency is for joke. It's something that they fix with Wariana.
Yeah.
You know, it's really weird because the Wariana Brock stuff feels like it is just a direct apology for this.
Yeah. Like actually saying there can be the physical the physical counterpart, or the not physical. There can be this counterpart to Brock, gender flip counterpart that is actually, you know, the good stuff about Brock as well. Not you know, not just like this weird, you know, parody that has all of these, you know, bad assumptions about what is and isn't a woman, you know? Yeah. It's rough. It's rough stuff.
Boy, oh boy.
In notable firsts here, they had no idea what they were going to do with him. But this is our first appearance of Don Fitzcarraldo. In the background, the blue morpho. They just kind of, you know, they had a background character who ended up being like, oh, we just want to start it out as, let's make him like a Green Hornet type. He appears in a flashback scene at a key party. I like the flashback stuff in this, and ultimately becomes incredibly important to this. So
similarly, it's the first appearance of Dick Cavett. It's the first appearance of like Huey Long or whatever.
Huey Newton,
Huey Newton, the first Black Panther to show up in the thing. But yeah, the you know, that stuff is good, and the flashback stuff is really good. Even though it also leads to some, you know, clue trails that don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, that I'm just like not as crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like
about.
it's implied because of what we see happening at the key party, and also like Jonas's relationship with Tara's mom, with Ms. Quymn. It's implied that she might be Rusty's half brother or half sister rather. Yeah,
maybe. You know, who knows? Like, you know, Dr. JJ Senior put his dick in everything.
Yeah.
You know, so it's and it's literally a key party. It's a random hookup. He targets her during it. He cooks the books to get that key. But it's, you know, who even knows? And that would be the way you could bring this back. Like Rusty finding out he has a sister. There's a story. But these characters don't really come back, and there's nothing.
No.
You know, as much as I like episodes of this season that are not lore focused and are just kind of one-offs. Yeah. I like them when they're fun jokes and they deal with our main characters in a better way.
Agreed. Yeah. There is one appearance later on of Tara. I'm going to do my best not to say Dr. Quym because that word does not feel good in my mouth, ironically.
I'm going to say Pussy Quym when I call her that. So I'm going to try to make it sound worse just to balance the scales.
Okay. No, she shows up later, like in another
Dr. Vagisaurus.
She shows up in a Facebook of possible scientists for somebody to arch later on.
Vagisaurus sucks. the
Gary, I need you to stop. I need you to stop. I'm fine with it.
Monster truck-esque yonic fury.
Yeah.
It is.
No, just it both jumps over and devours cocks. Okay.
Yeah. Sunday night. Yeah.
Oh God. So let's get to it. We have a cold open. We have a cold open with all of this adventure kind of stuff. Rusty is running through the jungle, having stolen this golden snake idol that looks just like a cock and balls.
Yep. I like the idea of a fertility idol that isn't the traditional like chonky lady, which is usually what we see.
Yeah.
And probably offensive stereotype villagers.
Yeah.
Are chasing him. They give him just tons of sleep darts as he's calling for help. They surround him. They're about to kill him, but a woman stops them who can speak their language, and she recognizes him as Rusty.
Yeah.
And that's our cold open. No jokes.
Yep.
Setting a little bit of the tone.
So we get the little intro sting. We don't have a full opening, I believe, and it cuts to the flashback. It's at the compound. It's Jonas's pad in the 60s. It's literally the swinging 60s. He's throwing a key party. And Colonel Gentleman arrives with his beard, this pink-haired woman in a catsuit, Ms. Quymn, modeled after the lady from the Avengers, not the Marvel one. Emma Peel, yeah.
Emma Peel also looks a little bit like Silver Sable, which is kind of a visual design thing, but is meant to be kind of a counterpart to like a Lady James Bond.
Yeah,
like Emma Peel.
Yeah,
and they go back and forth with some double entendres about how much Colonel Gentleman loves Dick. And how she's not good at handling Dick. Talking about, never let a woman drive your Aston Martin. She handles a stick like it's got herpes. And she's like, who knows what garages you've been parking in.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's full of just, Colonel Gentleman getting around jokes.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, he's not stupid.
Yeah.
So it's super weird that they brought Tara. They brought Miss Quim's daughter. They have Kano take her down. It's very funny that Kano brooks this at all.
I love this scene where he just looks at her, and then when they show his cut to her screaming as he carries her off, because Kano, that's very scary at this point.
She's being carried by a man the size and shape of a house.
Yeah,
he's ultimately a sweetheart, but. Yeah. But they go down to the den, and Rusty is pretending to playing pretend jungle adventure.
You get a little bit with the key party. This is where we get blink and you miss it, but JJ Senior makes sure that his keys get to Dr. Quymn.
Yeah.
And then Colonel Gentleman sees a young mod here that they say is maybe a Bowie. And it drives me nuts because it looks like Bowie, but he doesn't have two different colored eyes, which is how you make a Bowie.
That's how you make a Bowie. Also, we've seen how Bowie is rendered in this. And, he's not rendered as, David Bowie in 2008. He's rendered as 70s Bowie, right? He's young Bowie.
This is an outfit that 70s Bowie wore. But the eyeball thing just drove me nuts because I'm like, they get it right when he's the sovereign. And it's just a really easy way to do it. And he says, "Oh, you pretty thing."
Yes.
Which is a Bowie song, which is what, so I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be Bowie, but it
could just be like an animation error. I put it in the IMDb goofs. Yeah.
So struck the same rib and made two distinctly different tones. I'm sorry I fired for that blunder.
Genius at work. Oh man. But as they're playing pretend, unaware of what their parents are getting into, we cut to present day. Rusty has woken up and he's in the room with the grown-up Tara. She has sucked the poison out, but she chides him for wearing polyester in the jungle. The bigger problem is not the poison, it's that he's completely dehydrated. But he wears this because he cannot stand wrinkles. So he'll just die.
His dad taught him not to. He quotes his dad.
Yes.
He says, hydration is no excuse for wrinkles.
Yep.
Rusty, and she's like, well, why didn't your dad teach you not to steal fertility idols from headhunters? He says he's been researching alternative cures for impotence. And there's a little bit, this is very hacky.
Yeah.
Jokes about how it's, not for him, it's for people he knows. she says, why haven't you tried Viagra? And he's like, well, my clients, they get diarrhea, dyspepsia,
right.
all these Viagra downsides.
Yeah. Just that weird hang up in the just around like when Viagra was just a punchline in and of itself, where just like jokes, isn't ED funny? No, just a thing that happens.
You get older, your dick stops working, man.
Yeah.
Leave people alone.
Yeah.
Like they still have the right to sex.
Uh-huh. Just
like it should be covered by insurance.
Yeah.
Like
it often is. Yeah.
like being Viagra. Yeah. Good hell.
So yeah,
people use their ding dongs. Ding dongs are great.
Yeah.
I will not countenance any more anti ding dong talk from anybody just making jokes about limp.
Mm-hmm.
We stand limp on this network.
Yeah.
So I want to cut to like a newspaper, like where it's like the local gays show their pride. With Bart, where it's just like you on the front of like a paper where it's like Duckfeed.tv stands the limp, and then there's just like a picture of you caught in the camera. No, I'm not trying to describe it. You would not be
like just
describing gay panic to you. I just think that's funny.
No, just very like just be like trying to block my face out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yes, this is a hacky joke. It was a hacky joke. I remember it being hacky, but like, it is funny how outdated that feels now. 11 years on or 13 years on.
Out.
Yeah. But yeah, Tara explains what she's doing here. Just in fake jungle. I think this is supposed to be South America, possibly. She's saying, "Oh, I'm out here searching for a cure for cancer." It's like examining the plants, but it's not going that great. Cancer continues unabated, and they're interrupted when her twin daughters come in, Nancy and Drew.
Yes, girl detectives.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Hardy Boys. We'll literally have them later.
Mm-hmm.
Nancy Drew is the Girl Detective series of books.
Yes,
and her being here, she is Laura Croft doing Medicine Man.
Yes.
That movie Medicine Man with Sean Connery.
Where he found the cure for AIDS but forgot it?
Yep. Also similar to Lorenzo's Oil. There was a lot of movies in the 90s about like going and finding.
Yeah. So they work in an actual Tomb Raider animation on this as well.
Yeah. It's great. Like she's very specifically a Tomb Raider. Like they came up with good analogs for the Lady Venture Brother family.
And the commentary has them talking about Tomb Raider. It's like the one video game that they've played.
It's very cute. Actually. Ginny comes in, who is Tara's bodyguard, who is a lady Brock Sampson, but again, because it's a lady, she's a figure of fun and disgust.
She's also old as well. Like she is explicitly middle, like not aging very gracefully or well. Like she's got gray hair and stuff. Not there's not a problem with that, but like all of these unflattering traits piled on top of one unfortunate person is
what is going on with her eyes? Like it looks like she wears a Magneto helmet and goes tanning.
I don't get it.
Like she just has tan marks around her eyes.
Yeah. No clue.
Super weird.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things that happens in this episode is we go to like what they were doing during this.
Yeah,
is just very, very good. Brock is putting boxing gloves on her tang, which Dean has to fight.
Yeah.
Which is very funny to me.
Dean says, like, teaching an ape to box, like, isn't it basically the saddest thing ever?
And just like, I don't like it either, Dean, but your dad needs the money.
It's so good. It is so good. Just like
Hank and Dean are the saviors of this episode.
Right.
When Broccoli does it, he was like, "You ready, Dean?" He goes, "No."
This is really awful. Yeah. No, this is the one I mentioned earlier. The one bit in the episode that absolutely works for me. Just the idea that they kidnapped this poor orangutan and are training it to fight so they can sell it. And you have Hank again because he's channeling the ghosts of dead crazy people. Kid his age should not be making a reference to this movie, but he goes, "Bang, Clyde," which is a reference to what is it? Any Which Way But Loose.
Any which way but loose. Clint Eastwood teaming up with some kind of super ape to solve crimes.
Yeah, yeah. And the idea, like in that movie, a trick is, if you said bang Clyde, the ape's name was Clyde, he would fall over dead. So he's doing, saying this much, to everybody's annoyance, trying to get him to do the same trick.
And I love that Clyde, instead of boxing Dean, just beats the crap out of Hank.
Yep.
Because he's been doing that bang thing over and over.
Yeah.
This was like this was like an early Turner and Hooch.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a time where our culture was really obsessed with like, what if an animal teamed up with a cop? And now we're like, that fucking sucks, man. Don't make dogs cops.
Right.
Every once in a while on Facebook, they'll show like a squirrel in a little police uniform and he'll be like, oh, this little guy got deputized because he found drugs in a nest. And I'm like, get that fucking vest off that squirrel. That squirrel's going to get shanked. And it goes back to Gen Pop. Like, leave him alone.
Mm-hmm.
Do not recruit an animal to be a cop. They show up here. This is great as well, where Ginny shows up and calls them poachers and stuff, and Rusty pops out and says like, "This isn't what it looks like," and Dean's like, "It's actually exactly what it looks like."
Yeah. Rusty just like tries to make up a story like, "No, I rescued him from poachers over in Thailand. It was in a cage."
Yeah.
Like, no, it's exactly what it looks like. But this is where Nancy and Drew meet Hank and Dean. And we get a couple of just repeated, ooh, I'm in love kind of graphical treatments where, Hank is immediately smitten. Dean is like, oh, rigor, first symptoms of malaria, I think, noticing his erection. And then Dean becomes smitten with them, too.
Well, Dean doesn't. The girls become smitten with Dean.
Oh, yeah.
Dean never becomes smitten. Like, he almost gets raped in this episode. Yeah. Like, he doesn't want it.
I could swear that there was one where he was like, "Ooh, yeah," but maybe I made a wrong note
and get all oohed.
Yeah.
And later he's like, "I like them. I just don't like them like them."
Right.
Yeah. Dean is a one woman. Dean is for Triana.
Yes.
We're going to the truck again. Just shtick. We're going back and forth between these conversations. Brock is like, new personal low, training the chimp, which is good. And then Rusty says it's time for a new thing, Operation Do Rusty a Solid. Keep Jimmy busy. So we get into the gender stuff, and then starts doing like, again, just like a hacky joke. Like, the only, I want to be sweating between the sheets. You know what I mean? Sex. I'm like, man, what is this? Is this like an outtake from the 40-Year-Old Virgin or something? Like, where is this joke coming from, JP, Jackson? Christ almighty, like, it's not good.
Yeah. Inside the truck is a little bit better.
Yeah.
So like we have the two pairs of teen adventurers bonding over stuff, and they have slightly different kinds of adventures, solving mysteries and things. They talk about like, oh, we're not identical, we're semi-identical. They actually are differentiated. One of them has freckles on her nose, and that's how you can tell. And I love that it's like, oh, sometimes even our mom gets us confused. And then a bummer note, Dean says, yeah, our dad has trouble telling us apart too. Dean and Hank couldn't look any more different.
Yeah. It's just bad dad.
Yeah.
Jokes. I like the girls, like, I'm more of a detective. I'm more of an adventurer. It's like, oh, we do that. Museum leads the mummy leads the like them talking shop, I think is adorable.
Yep.
There's got content here. Originally, there was a whole like Venture Brothers universe, and they were going to reveal the existence of the Lady Sovereign. Here, like they have been having a parallel show. Was the idea, which I think is very cute.
Yeah.
Ginny, they get to the village. There are people standing in front of them. So she slams on the brake, which makes Rusty fall down in front of the car, which is
really funny. I don't know why, but like the limited animation on it is really good. Also, he doesn't yell or anything. He just like limply rolls down the hood.
It reminded me of when he got shot in the stomach by the rubber bullet, and we have like 60 seconds of him just bleeding and moaning. Like, there's some good physical comedy with Doc getting hurt.
Yeah. And so they roll up. They're kind of living in and around this village. The indigenous folks are distrustful of any outsiders ever since IKEA set up shop and started logging to get wood for their Billy bookcases.
Yeah, the IKEA down the river. And she's translating the village elder here, who is talking about they've seen this werodile. That it has ripped the head off their mightiest warrior. It was like somebody shook up a 6-foot can of blood soda and popped the top, and you hear the elder go, cute, but it, not a knee slapper, like funny, but like again, we're just not ever going to get to escape velocity here.
But Pamela Adlin's delivery on a 6-foot can of blood soda. And then, trying to figure out how to pronounce, like how to translate blood soda.
It's like, it's cute. It's humorous.
Yes.
There's smile out loud moments in this. Is kind of how it feels like to me.
Yeah. But the tribal elder here says all of this is Rusty's fault for stealing the fertility idol. It's back, no harm, no foul.
We go back. We do weird cuts in this episode. Because this seems like this is where they would take back the idol, but we're going to get that in montage.
Yeah.
Instead, we get Hank and Dean in their tent talking about the twins. Dean is, nerding out about what kind of twins they are, and Hank is criticizing them. He says Bifirth, which is the god from Watership Down, which, again, pretty great. He warns him not to act like a stalker, like not draw pictures. And he says he's drawing pictures for the Venture Home News, because pictures increase circulation. And I believe he's being 100% sincere in that.
Oh,
I think he's just, wants to increase circulation.
So, among the 5 people who live on the compound. Yeah.
Well, and he also, Monarch gets it.
Oh, yeah. That's
they
true.
later reveal Monarch subscription to the Venture Home News. I love Bright Lights Dean City so fucking much.
It's so good.
That's a really good episode of this show.
Jenny's listening from the outside, and she's concluded that they have their eyes on the twins. She's half right. We cut over to the twins, and Nancy and Drew are talking about the boys. Nancy says, "Oh, I love Dean's hot little Iggy Pop body with a kind of Weezer style." There's nothing hot about Iggy Pop's body.
It's a weird, I'm surprised this episode was written by Jackson Public, because that feels like a Doc Hammer insert line to me, if I ever heard one.
Yep.
Weird two-dimensional, endomorphic guys can be, or ectomorphic guys can be hot too.
Yep. So, but the conflict is that Drew likes Dean too. They both find Hank to be boorish.
Yeah, they it's like the fangirls, like the fangirls of the real show who love Dean. Jeannie walks in, says, you can hang out with the boys, but don't get into any rough stuff. Gives him a hug. And they say, Ginny, why do you hate men so much? And she says she doesn't hate him. She's never met a real one. Yeah. And looks out at Brock pounding a steak for a tent, shirtless with his Daisy Dukes season 1 outfit here. And she's like, maybe this is our real man. And this, again, I don't like how her sexuality is portrayed for grossness. Her turning cold on Brock, and Brock, what the hell? I like Brock doing that.
Yeah. I like when Brock doesn't know how to process anything, because he is normally so situationally aware and just kind of bored with it, because he, has come to expect everything.
He's hyper competent.
Yeah.
He knows how to do everything. It's really similar to when he first met Dermot.
Yeah.
And Dermot's like, okay, where's your geisha? He's like, what? He doesn't know what to do.
So she goes out to put her moves on and introduce herself. She asks, what do you drive? She negs his Dodge Charger as a penis substitute, comparing it to the benefits of her, Humvee or whatever it is, the big
and her ass. She's very
much
has solid
trying.
Suspension, good chassis, while bending over and presenting.
Oh yeah, no, she's presenting to him, and even just saying oh, hot in the jungle, huh? Moist heat grips you like a vice.
Yeah.
Talking
you
about
could
pussies.
Say that her car is a metaphor for the Quymb.
Oh God.
Is it better or worse with the B on the end?
Usually it makes it better. I am actually going to have to I sentence you to 5 minutes in hell.
But yeah, she's double entendreing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he agrees, like, okay, well, we're gonna do this, and then she pumps the brakes on him, saying, hey, ease off the gas there, Mustang Sally. Where I come from, we drive on the other side of the road. So she runs cold on him. I think that this is her way of saying that she doesn't go with men, which is a mixed signal here, and that puts Brock.
But she's sexuality is a spectrum, right? Like there's nothing wrong with that, but it is a weird mixed signal thing. I read this that she does this not when he agreed to have sex with her, but she keeps looking over his shoulder at Rusty and Tara.
Okay.
And she sees Rusty go into the tent, and I think that's what causes her to like.
Right. Okay. So
ripcord.
Gonna be hard to get after literally presenting on the hood of a Humvee.
Yeah. Like, well, because she's like, oh, I gotta protect Tara because she has this like romantic relationship with him. But I don't blame you for like not putting that together because this episode is really poorly edited. Like the montaging in this is really weird.
Yeah.
You would think that then that impetus would follow then to consequence where she would then storm in on that tent and have a scene or something, but we don't. We go to the Werodile. We cut to nighttime, the Werodile looking over the village, and then to a montage. Like it's real messy.
Yeah. Just a montage of Rusty and Tara having fun, like going swimming, like just having reconciled, like it's them in a relationship, ending with them climbing up a branch. This is where Tara does her little Tomb Raider climb, and just a wheezing Rusty covered in leaves and leeches. Just limply climbs up and like, oh, you need to stop smoking. Don't smoke secondhand, killing me.
Yeah. I related to this.
Oh yeah,
quite a bit. Every once in a while, someone will make me hike on accident. Like I'll hang out in San Francisco or something, which is a town built of vertical miles, and just end up walking a whole lot and be like, man, I'm out of shape. I might puke.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, everybody. Yeah, but I might be sick.
Leave me. I'm only going to slow you down.
Yeah, like literally, it's like, literally leave me behind to the gazelles because I like either build me a litter or leave me to die. I cannot handle the steep incline. She says why she's here, and again, there's no jokes here. This is just drag ass exposition. She's here for a fruit called Solomon's Heart, which grows in the valley. The problem is that the trees only blossom when they're more than 40 years old, and people are cutting them down. She's trying to preserve the rainforest so she can research into curing cancer. And he's not getting it. He's trying to hit on her. But no jokes.
Right. It's literally just like him misunderstanding the things that she's saying. Like, oh, you see how the seeds form a heart. Like, yes. He's reading this like, no, it's literally just talking past each other. He leans in to kiss. Right. And then he leans in to kiss her, and then she breaks things off saying that, she doesn't want to get hurt and that this isn't a good time. So she goes back to the house, and Rusty falls from the tree dangling from his harness.
Well, he doesn't fall right away. I love that he's like, how do I get down? Because again, it's very relatable to me as somebody who is not athletic. So at night, the boys are out in the woods and they hear a roar. They accuse each other of being, I hate this. Like there's just a bunch of things in here where I don't understand what they're doing. Like it's all over the place. They accuse each other of being the Werodile. And then Hank says, because they're twins, they must both be the Werodile. And then like Dean's like, no, that doesn't make sense. We have different colored hair. And I'm like, how smart or dumb are you fucking characters? Like it is okay to vary that in this show, but you can't vary it line to line. Yeah. Like just
Hank coming to the wrong conclusion is fine, but I don't know. It's just the idea that like, oh yes, we must both be it. No, it doesn't.
If you're the fucking Werodile. I don't know, man. It doesn't feel right. It's too stupid.
Yeah. Brock rushes back. It's interrupted. He's got Rusty. He's unconscious. He was hanging upside down from his harness, and the blood is pooled both in his head and in his dick. And
a surprisingly large member here on Rusty.
Yeah. Well,
like they really make him pack some heat here.
Gravity, just extenuating circumstances, extending circumstances.
Extenuating.
But Rusty, as he comes to, he says, "Oh, I saw two Werediles. We got a whole pack of them out there."
This is full of red herrings about who the Weredile is.
Yeah.
Hank tries to comfort the girls. They brush him off, and Ginny puts the compound on lockdown. Everybody has to go to their own bunks, because of Weredile is about. Goes in and talks to Tara and says, like, we need to get these guys out of here. They're ruining the vibe. And Tara says, like, there's no Weredile. Like, we both know this is just a logging company stooge. That they have nothing to do with the Weredile.
Yeah. Yeah.
And further, I'm going to ask Rusty to be my lab assistant. She wants the relationship. She was just overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Before that, there was more backstory around this as well. There was going to be a bunch of flashbacks where they showed Rusty and Tara meeting at different points in their lives. And Tara kind of having this rebellious phase, which Ginny refers to later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where she would have got Pregante, but it doesn't, this would have made sense for her to be ready to settle down with Rusty.
Yeah. Yeah. And, Ginny is jealous of this. And, Tara says, oh, Rusty can fulfill needs that you can't, kind of implying like, okay, I need a man. No, but just like, oh, he's a trained scientist.
It's weird. She's definitely saying that she's going to make him a lab assistant with sensitivity to Ginny in mind.
Yeah.
Because she's describing it as being nervous. She's like, he's going to be my lab assistant. Like, she says it like she's hiding something.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
So
Tara sends her away at this point. Ginny says, like, give it a try. Again, double entendreing. Talking about sex. She's like, it just doesn't work. Tara sends her away. And they end up like yelling at each other. And Tara tries to calm herself. And she says, Dean overhears her saying, stay calm, don't let the demon out. So, of course, Dean is like, she's the Weredile.
And it's curiouser and curiouser. So Dean is on the case. He goes and talks to Hank, trying to tell him, hey, someone in the camp is the Weredile. But when he gets there, Hank is using his bass to try and write a song for the girls. This is, I think, the first appearance of the bass that Brock promised to give him in the Christmas special.
Yeah, the shallow gravy bass. Cute note from the commentary. They would animate the bass, and then Doc Hammer mimed what was actually happening on there because he wanted to eventually, or finally have a thing where somebody plays an instrument in a cartoon and the sound actually matches up, and that's why it sounds awful.
Yeah, it's because the animators are like, this is what a bass would be, right? And like, no, like you wouldn't fret there. That's not the order you would fret to make a tune, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and it definitely sounds like random nonsense. Dean is really pissed because Hank is all up in his hormones rather than caring about the Weredile, and calls him out. You used to be all go Team Venture, but now you're all go Team Boobies. Him being the one person who is not experiencing, the sexual awakening of this jungle.
He is not fully given himself over to the love jungle. Yeah. So Rusty has another flashback to the swinger party. He's about to kiss Tara, like in his little like cardboard clubhouse here. But then Jonas, he completely soused Jonas and Miss Quymn. They come in and they're making out, and then they fall over on top of the clubhouse, crushing it and the kids while they're making out. So
what a nightmare to have his dad have sex on him at the moment of his first kiss.
Yes.
Not good. Tara invites Rusty to play in her jungle fort. She is interested in Rusty. Here, as the girls plan to go, to go after Dean.
Yeah.
Dean climbs up to the lookout to vent to Brock, and Brock assumes it's going to be Hank, which is great. He's like, hey, Hank. Oh, it's Dean.
Normally it's Hank who comes to him for advice.
Really good. But Dean gets disheartened when Ginny pops up with a six-pack. So Brock is also sexual. And I find, like, as much as it's gross what they do with Dean in this, the idea that he's just not on that wavelength as everyone else around him is really cute.
Well, yeah, because like that's, everybody goes through puberty at different times. Just like, his chaste version of what a relationship is, not matching the situation, and like that sense of being like left out. It's a real, it's real in a Judy Blume kind of sense,
extremely real, you know, and he's just, it's also him, you know, to him, you should be loyal.
Yeah.
You know, he's a Triana man. You know, I got a girl back home, you know, like me, like that's his thing. And it's very consistent. You know, Dean is the standout of this episode to me.
Well, also, I love this line again, just Michael Sinterklaas playing Dean, saying things that are like pretty horrible, or like not, you just, but it's, you know, Dean not understanding the context of it. It's where he says, the both of you's got jungle fever. The both of you's, you know, just like his idea. Okay. Like, he's calling out what it is. Like, oh, you know, like there's something about this place is making everybody go nuts and have sex with each other. That's some kind of fever that happens in a jungle. No, Dean, that's something else. Actually, I like him innocently saying things that are, you know, double entendres without him realizing it. And the both of yous.
Cute, you know, even if it is racist and no good.
Yeah.
So the girls throw a note into the tent, meant for Dean. Hank gets it. It says, meet me in the clearing in 10 minutes. And it's got a lipstick mark on it. Dean finds him reading this, and demands that Hank meet him in the clearing for 10 minutes with dynamite and a cargo net to solve mysteries. And the two twins, the ladies, they recognize what's going on. So they drag Dean to their hut saying they solved the mystery, and basically just, again, lie to him to sex assault him. This whole time. A nonstop stream of lies coming out of these ladies' mouth. There is a sad little bit of this in the commentary too, where like Doc Hammer asks Jackson, he's like, this doesn't read real to me, like this very aggressive, you know, lady. And Jackson's like, yeah, like I lost my virginity to somebody like much more aggressive than me and stuff. And it's like, oh, you know, there's probably, you know, they laugh about it, but there's probably like a little bit of trauma there.
Well, I mean, and even like, you know, talks about like, you know, Doc says something like, yeah, you know, my first experience was probably like much more healthy than yours. And like Public even says something like, yeah, you know, remember I was like a born again Christian when I was in my teens. So like it was pretty fucked up, you know, and then they kind of trail off and change the subject probably. So yeah, it's pretty rough. And like the Doc is even, you know, the Doc Hammer, he says like, yeah, this still makes me uncomfortable. Just the sexual encounter with Dean here, where like one of them is like literally holding Dean down, where the other one like climbs on top of him. And he's screaming, no, hey, stop. Yeah.
Yeah. He's literally just saying stop. And they're, it's gross. Ginny's sitting by the fire, sharpening a machete and doing the hard rain's gonna fall speech from Taxi Driver, which, you know, reference, but also just everything's all over the place.
Yeah.
When the girls are doing this to Dean, like this is intercut with the mom, with Rusty, but you know, they lie to him about the potion. They try to give him some liquor and say like, you know, this is a native potion that wards off the werodile. And then the girl takes off her shirt, even though they're like portrayed as pretty buxom, she's stuffing her shirt. So they fall out. And then Dean calls them the werodiles, apparently because they have hairy armpits.
Yeah.
And earlier, Hank and Dean talked about how they've been trying to grow hair on their armpits. You know, so the girls have not gotten to that point yet.
Yeah.
You know, okay. I mean, I don't know. Dean's not that stupid.
Right.
Again, I don't know. Like, God, this episode's all over the place.
Yeah.
Every time I revisit it and think about it, I like it less. It's this weird thing where everyone is going on about it in the Slack, and like I feel like people are dismissing it from the angle of it being offensive, and it is, but it's also just so fucking sloppy.
Yeah. Like, you know, it's one of the the sloppiness. I don't know. I don't even know where I was going to go with that. This is all over the place, and therefore so am I.
Yeah. We also, the parents are also getting ready to do it.
Yes. You know, Tara says, oh, you have no idea how long it's been. And then Rusty rattles off, you know, like a time, you know, 19 years, 4 months, 25 days or something, implying that the last time he had sex was when he conceived the boys.
Yeah. Sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though we know that he's, well, he's had sex with Dermot's.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, Dermot's older than the boys.
Yep.
So yeah, I guess it has been that long. Anywho, so they're getting ready to do that. She's getting, and he says like, I found the cure for impotence. It's dead ass.
Yeah.
Okay. Ginny pops in. They hear the Dean and Hank hear, or Dean hears Ginny yell. It seems like she's walked in on the girls, but she's walked in on Rusty.
Yes.
And throws Rusty off her and starts doing this monologue that implies Tara's past.
Yes.
Which we don't actually see, but just this idea of people treating her badly.
Yeah. Saying she doesn't need your pills or your booze or your shock therapy anymore. I fixed her. Me.
Yeah.
And what we're finding out, like the reason she was shaking earlier and saying, don't let the demon out. Tara's epileptic. So she's over in the corner having a seizure. Rusty says, oh my God, I almost fucked a Weridile. And then Dean comes in, hits her with a chair multiple times.
Repeatedly.
Yeah.
Dean, the near sex assault victim in this episode, goes and beats a seizuring woman with a chair a bunch. Go Team Venture.
Ginny stops him saying, oh, she's not a Weridile, she's an epileptic. And he goes, ew. Yeah. Like just that somehow sleeping with an epileptic, the joke being sleeping with an epileptic will be grosser than sleeping with a monster. I don't know. Well,
or just, Doc being ignorant. Yeah. Right. Like that little bit of him, like, I almost fucked a Weridile, I think is funny.
Yeah.
Gets a smile out loud. Yeah. For me. And then him just not understanding it. Like, similar to the dwarves thing from last episode.
Yeah.
Ginny takes Tara out. She's unconscious. She comes to.
Mm-hmm.
She says, can I do it just this one time? And she has this little necklace and there's a cigarette in it.
Yes.
That's what the monster is that she didn't want to let out.
Yeah. And they're sitting in front of, over the course of all of this, the hut caught fire, something like that. The hut, and then eventually it burns down the entire forest around them, killing the Heart of Solomon or whatever. Yeah. And as they're sitting in front of the burning house, Tara asks, anyone got a light? Fun.
Yeah.
So we cut to later. Hank is out in the clearing, waiting for the girls because he followed the note. The Weridile approaches him, but he is saved by the orangutan that comes out and fights off the Weridile as the fire surrounds him. Then we cut to the next morning.
Yeah. Yep. So next morning, the girls apologize to Dean for nearly getting Hank killed, and they say Hank is heroic. Mm-hmm. He's so heroic the natives even made him an honorary warrior, and they gave him a circumcision. And Dean, they find out Dean has his weird dog dick, so they're not interested in him, which is very weird. It's very knowing of them. Parts of this I like. I love Brock coming up to Hank in his tribal way and goes, "How you doing, Broken Arrow?" It's very funny.
Yeah. Although this doesn't line up with what we learn about the tribal people later either.
Yeah.
Like this implies that they have this ritual where they do, I was about to say where they do bodily mutilation. That makes me sound like an intactivist.
Yeah.
That's not what I am. I don't fucking care. But also like cutting up somebody's a basically grown person's penis is a weird thing to do as a ritual.
Oh yeah.
So
adult circumcision rituals.
Yeah. It is strange to me and doesn't line up with the post credits gag on this, which I actually do like. Brock loads everybody up into the X1. Hank is there, and then the Venture and Quymn jets they rise up and then they take off in opposite directions.
Yeah. Never to not to like each other. That's for breaking my stepdaughter's heart. Mm-hmm. Smash later. Post credits, the Weridile walks into a village hut, pulls off its head. There's another Weridile. The joke here is that the native folk are actually more sophisticated.
Yeah.
And they've been scamming. Basically the loggers that they mentioned before in a costume.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're trying to scare off the scientists, trying to scare everybody off so they could live in peace. By the joke being, we're going to play into their conceptions about us and also do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What a fucking mess.
Yeah, it's really, really messy to me. and not very funny and kind of offensive.
Yeah.
I like this less than I like Love Bites.
Yeah.
Because there are fewer good jokes in it. And I'm here for jokes.
Yeah.
It's just kind of, it's like I like things other than that. But here for jokes, ultimately, jokes will do a lot for me, and it's just not a very funny episode.
Yeah. This doesn't really have great lore in it, Like, my favorite thing about it is obviously Clyde.
Yeah.
But, you got the 60s flashbacks, which is good and fun. But that is not enough.
Yes.
It is not successful on a number of axes.
Yeah. But luckily it's all uphill from here for the season. Next week we're doing What Goes Down Must Also Come Up, and we're going to be joined by Autumn Greer, friend of the network.
Yeah.
And that's going to be real fun. And then after that, I think we have Now Museum, Now We Don't, which is maybe my favorite of the season.
It's good.
An episode I have a lot of affection for. So
yeah. If you'd like to support, you can support the show by going to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. You can get episodes a week early and also get access to whole other bonus shows about other different kinds of things you might like. Unfilmable, which is our show about horror movies now. Started as a show about Lovecraft adaptations. And at the $10 level, you can get Adaptation Decay, which is about adaptations of video games to other media.
Yep. And if you want to support the show, you can leave ratings, reviews. You can tell your friends. All those things are great.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. And until next time,
go Team Venture.